Welcome to Women of a Certain Stage, the podcast redefining how we think about menopause. I'm your host, Lauren Turin, a passionate advocate for breaking the stigma and empowering individuals to navigate this transformational stage of life with confidence and clarity. Here, we're diving into a new era of menopause support, featuring expert advice, real-life stories, and actionable insights. Whether you're curious about building your personal menopause plan or you're looking to make an impact, you're in the right place. Let's embrace the change together.
So this is the craziest podcast that I have ever recorded, and welcome, Sarah. Last week, I was just telling Sarah that I had actually been using an ironing board to get my screen to the right height, and we've been playing with lots of kitchen utensils today to try and get everything at the right level. So where there's a will, there's a way. So Sarah, welcome to the Women on Certain Stage podcast. And I would just love for you to share a little bit about your background and who you are so that people can get a feel for what brought you here today.
Thank you. That essentially who I am. Passionate about the outdoors, passionate about spending time outdoors. I worked as a gardener for over 15 years before embarking on an academic period of time, which took me through a bachelor's degree in counselling, then a master's degree in business psychology, and then most recently a PhD in organisational psychology. I'm so interested in the menopause, and that's what led me to Lauren. Lauren will agree that we've had many conversations before. And
yep, we have indeed.
On the Diploma. I feel it's where my work now lies. I feel so aligned with this work.
So what was it that actually brought that interest in menopause to the fore? What was it that was going on for you that made you suddenly think menopause?
Yeah. So there was a couple of things. First off was the menopause symptoms, which I was going through both in the master's degree and then at PhD level, and not understanding fully what was happening to me, putting it down to other things perhaps, or just kind of pushing things to one side until it got to the point where I really wasn't functioning as I felt I could be. And that was an immediate and knee-jerk reactions to HRT. So there was that element. And then during the PhD, when I was collecting data, I spoke to somebody who was choosing to take their work outside to help relieve menopause symptoms. And this was one person in amongst all of the people that I interviewed, and it just stuck with me because of how this lady spoke about how it changed things for her, and it gave her the ability to cope, to remain doing the job that she loved and wanted to do. She had a menopause plan in place, and going outside allowed her to feel better, manage her symptoms, but be productive.
Wow. That's amazing. And, I'm listening to you and thinking about that level of study, going and doing a degree and a master's and a PhD as a mature student. It was a completely different environment, completely different world, and that colliding with menopause, I think often people have an illusion that someone who is struggling or complaining about menopause symptoms and having an impact on their performance at work or study, whatever it is, that in some way they're not good enough, they're not trying hard enough. And when you live through that as someone who's incredibly capable, clearly we know that that's not the case, that we just haven't been prepared for it. So you notice that you learned about this lady going outside and being in nature and how that worked for her. So what did you do next? Where did that take you next?
So that led me, once I was really sort of finished with the data collection part of the PhD, and that particular conversation that I'd had with that lady just wouldn't go away. So I started looking at, okay, what am I going to do post-PhD? And I'd always thought in my mind, actually, I really want to be a coach. I want to bring all of everything I've learned together and be a coach. And I thought, oh, what about a menopause coach? So then I started looking around, right, okay, what is the availability of learning and who am I best to learn with? And that led me to you, Lauren. And that was primarily about the depth of the learning that was involved on your diploma. That it was not just being given handouts, so you need to do this, you need to do this. We were actually taken through the menopause plan week by week, so we got to experience the plan for ourselves. But then we could practice with our peers in sessions, and then of course had to work with 2 practice clients to gain certification. So all of that was great. And then on top of that, you had guest speakers come in and talk to us. And, you know, whether that was about building our business or learning more about hormones, it was all so invaluable. So that as a coach, I feel now that I can go out and deliver the menopause plan from my unique perspective and bringing possibly, you know, my counselling understanding, remaining as a coach, but, you know, being able to hold what people bring to the sessions and not be frightened of what people bring, because I know I can hold it. Yeah. And I think that's a really great angle because it allows me, as you said previously, just to bring everything together. But it did take me a year to a year and a half of conversations with you until I was ready, really, to make that commitment and know that I was ready to do it.
Yeah, I think that's so important. Often when you get on a call with an organization that's delivering a program, it's very salesy, it's very driving you towards the next cohort, driving you to the next program. And for me, I genuinely believe that this work is so important that we have to get to it when we're ready to get to it. So it's the same with the training program, with the diploma. You know, when you're ready, when the time's right and it's the right program for you, then you know you're on your path going forward. But the other really valuable point that you made was the fact that we don't come to graduate from the Menopause Coach Diploma and become a menopause coach, where a menopause coach is just one aspect of who we are. We've already got decades of huge skills, knowledge and experience that we're bringing to that, and we're just adding menopause coaching onto it. And that's one of the reasons why I love the fact that although I deliver the menopause plan the way I've designed it and been delivering it over the last 12 years, you get to choose what you do with that way forward. So you're going to reach out and meet and work with people that I won't reach out to and meet and work with, as the next person will find different people as well. And that's the other thing that I love to be able to do, is just give people the building blocks to be able to go and decide whether they want to use it as is or they want to go and develop that going forward. So when you think about, you know, that journey of the conversations we had before you decided to come on board, what were the kind of key stages of your thinking or your decision-making process before you jumped on board?
I think one of the key considerations was, and to be sort of brutally honest, I was burnt out after both during, towards the end of, and after the PhD. I fell ill for a time. My mum died after a very long, heartbreaking disease of Alzheimer's. And I just didn't have the mental bandwidth to take anything else on for quite a while. And I kept thinking things were right for me. I think we both knew, Lauren, that we would, work together. And that was great. But neither of us were pushing it. And I think one of the great things is just being able to think and say, actually, I am going to do this. I'm just going to take my time. And when things slot into place, I'll be there. And so that I could fully throw myself into it. And that's been really important for me, actually, is to say, do you know what, just steady away, think about each step and make each step small but considered. And that's actually how I coach as well, in that I'm not about the big sort of, right, you need to do this, that, and the other, and so on. It's just the small steps which gain momentum over time. And again, that falls into the same step, really, as the menopause plan. Because each week you build on the previous week, and it is just these small steps. And that's my preferred way of working.
Yeah, and I've got a question for you. It just pops into my head, but it's quite interesting because the Menopause Coach Diploma for me is, or the feedback I've had on it is it's a well-structured program, you've got good experts on it, and it leaves you feeling like you are competent to be able to deliver the Menopause Coach plan as you leave, whether that's setting that up as a business or delivering it in your own organisation. Given that you've just done all this incredible study from degree through master's to PhD, you've got a real big wealth of current academic studying under your belt. How did the two compare? How does the academic study compare with what we deliver in the Menopause Coach Diploma?
Oh, that's a great question.
I'm curious. I'm actually genuinely curious.
The PhD was horrible in a sense that you are, apart from the meetings that you have with supervisors and maybe other PhD students, you're very much on your own. The difference is with the diploma, you are never on your own because you are there constantly saying, if you need me, I'm here. But you have this amazing group of your peers, all the cohorts, and everyone is so supportive. Now, that doesn't mean that you're in each other's pockets. You don't have to be. You can choose to dip in and out. But it allows you to know that actually there's a group of people who are like sounding board, who have got you if that's needed, or who you can say, oh, I've done this. And people are cheerleading you. And I think for me, that was the real difference. And also given the fact that I don't have to write 100,000 words, which is fine. And there wasn't any essay writing, but there was a lot of reflection, which I chose to do. And again, you put that out as an invite. Okay, there is a booklet here. Think about this booklet, complete it. You know, what are your thoughts on what we've done today, what we've covered, what helps, what doesn't? And that's really great because I think as a coach, obviously that's part of what you would be doing anyway, you would hope. But it allows you to identify, okay, in a year's time, I might be interested in pursuing this particular area of expertise within menopause or elsewhere. I don't have to act on it. It's there. So I find things like that really, really helpful. But so I would say, the absence of having to write 100,000 words and also having people around you all the time. Yeah.
I think I wrote 5,000 words for my dissertation in my psychology degree, and that was on children's telephonic behaviour aged 6 to 8 back then. Can you imagine? Children were only just getting used to using a telephone at 6 to 8. And now look where we're at. Children are doing so much more with their phones at this stage. So yeah, for me, 5,000 words was a lot. So the idea of writing 100,000 scared the living daylights out of me. So that was never going to form part of my program, no matter what I did. So if someone's listening and they're kind of sitting on the fence and they're kind of, shouldn't I train in this area or train with women of a certain stage, what would you say to them?
I would say, if you are genuinely curious, if you are genuine in your desire to want to work with women who are perhaps perimenopausal or menopausal, or you've been through it yourself and you have an understanding but you want to learn more, go for it. You know, by all means, check other people out, have a look at them, which I think is probably a good idea. But as I said earlier, it's about the depth that you offer, Lauren, and the platform from which you say to us all, right, come on, you can all fly now. Take this out.
Yeah.
And you are actively encouraging that. It's not like there's certain people that have the advantage. No, we're all in this together. And we are so much stronger to get the message across. And as you said, we'll all deliver the menopause plan in different ways. And I love that.
Yeah.
Because yes, we're all offering something similar, but it will never be the same.
Yeah.
You know, so it's really,
and I love that as well. 100%. And I think that there are benefits to having something that's very structured, that you have to do exactly as it's created. there's also benefits in having something that you can deliver as it's created, but then put your own stamp, put your own mark on it and make it your own. And I think having that flexibility means that more people go out and reach more people, which is my ultimate goal, to train 20,000 menopause coaches or champions before I die or retire, whichever one comes first. So I'm really grateful to you for being one of those amazing people. So what's next for you? Where do you go next? Today you were talking about you'd written a PDF and you'd started taking the next steps. So where are you at with that?
So again, as part of my plan for the next few months, I've written a PDF which I can send out in a quick notice to businesses that may be interested in working with me. And I'm building my website, starting on that properly this afternoon, changing everything on LinkedIn, my profile, which I've been hesitant to do until now. And I think that was because I wanted to graduate with this certification. It was important to me that when I change my profile, it's okay, this is where I'm at, this is everything I'm bringing. And I just want to be authentically me as a menopause coach.
I think that authenticity is what attracts the right people to you to work with you as well. For me, I make a joke that if I'm on stage or I'm on TV or whatever, I'll be appropriately dressed and the hair and the makeup be done. But if I'm working behind my screen in my study at home as I am today, recording a podcast or delivering a training session with my students, I'm going to be in my hoodie and my sweatpants because that is authentically me. And I'm going to be sitting cross-legged in my chair with no shoes on because that's authentically me. But if you told me 12, 13 years ago that I would ever show up like this for work, I would have laughed myself out of the room because I just wouldn't have believed that it was possible. So I've got a whole new respect for anyone that says, turning up being your authentic self or the relevant, authentic version of yourself for that moment in time is so important. One of the things we start off, my students start off with is the Johari's window. So we talk about, what do you see that other people see? What do you not see in yourself that other people see? What does other, what I can't remember which way around I've done it, but it's a really good tool to help people understand how they're viewed in the world. The more I share about myself, the more you share about yourself, the better the rapport we can build going forward. And I think that there are so many super simple tools like that out there or models that we can use to really do this work going forward. So is there anything I haven't asked you that you would like to comment on, Sarah?
I think one of the important things to me, or has been for me, is being able to tap into in myself whatever I've needed to get by. But if we just go back to the PhD and being impacted by brain fog and just feeling at times not capable of doing what I'd set out to do. And the amount of days I just sat at my laptop and cried and then would say, okay, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to go to the woods and take a walk. And invariably I would do that. I would give myself that time and I would come back and go, okay, you've got this. And just carry on until the next wave of, I can't do this. And then go again. I think for me, what that says is that I hear what people are saying and I get it. But with the way that I work with people is, okay, I hear it, I see it, but I also see different things in people. So whilst I'll be the biggest cheerleader, I'm also capable of saying, whoa, hang on a minute, you're saying and doing two separate things. And that's essentially what I was saying to myself all that time. And it's really important, or it has been really important for me to learn that, because I think it makes me a better coach from having gone through that. Yeah. And also the ability to have conversations with businesses who are thinking about menopause plans, given the change in legislation that's coming up, and thinking, okay, what are our opportunities for setting up spaces outdoors where people who have a menopause plan, if they choose to do so, they can legitimately just say, I'll go to work outside for an hour. The productivity won't drop. Hopefully they'll feel better. They'll manage their symptoms and that it gives them agency and control and power. And I think a lot of the time in menopause, you feel powerless because of all the changes that are happening in your body and your brain. And, you know, they give agency to people through a menopause plan. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm so excited about, just watching your work as you move forward and as you progress and develop this. I'm super excited to see where you take it, and I can't wait to hear how many organizations take this on board and give that flexibility to their people to be able to get grounded, get into nature, because there is science behind this now. There is research that shows that being in nature is so helpful for many conditions, not just for the menopause transition. So yeah, I'm super excited to see where this goes. I will say a huge thank you for being here today. And as I started at the beginning, last week I was using an ironing board to get my deck at the right level. And today we've been using utensils in the kitchen. So however, wherever, whenever we want to do this work, we can make it happen. Sarah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Lauren. It's been great to talk to you.
Thank you for joining me on Women of a Certain Stage. I hope today's episode inspired you to think differently about menopause and the incredible opportunities this stage of life brings. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with 3 friends who need to hear this message. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps us reach even more people. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Lauren Churin, or visit our website at womenofacertainstage.com to learn more about menopause coaching, inspiring events, and corporate training. Until next time, let's continue making a difference, one conversation at a time.